this kind of a spot before. He found success. Craig Weber was previously an undefeated fighter. He was 11-0 before Rogelio beat him. And here is Oscar Diaz, very likable former national junior Olympic champ. He will turn 21 years old Monday. This is Oscar's 17th pro fight, 15 wins, 10 knockouts, 1 no contest. And looking at his last 5, you see 3 KO wins and 2 well-earned decisions. Still, Oscar feels he wasn't training hard, not as hard as he should have during that stretch. He's at his lowest weight in over a year.
Offense himself by coming in and giving Castaneda a chance to do that. Counter.
Right hand comes in from Rogelio.
Well, when you're pressing like Diaz and you're taking all the chances, there's a good chance you're going to get caught something clean. And he's walking in and he's got caught clean by Castaneda. Castaneda doing the boxing in his first round. Bottom right-hand corner sliding in, you're going to see from the last round, maybe the punch that carried the round in a pretty close round otherwise. Castaneda, being the counterpuncher, landed a good, clean right hand over the left of Diaz.
Oscar Diaz and Rogelio Castaneda, round number 2. Diaz has a lot of family and friends who made the drive down here to Corpus Christi from San Antonio. He's a 20-year-old unbeaten prospect from Texas with a big fight crowd that follows him around the state.
We mentioned this would be a step up, a test for Diaz. Going from what we saw the first round, no reason to change that assessment. Castaneda has fought the much, as we said early, better opposition. In that first round, he used his experience to adapt quickly. See that he had Diaz, a young guy who's willing. He's on television. He's home. He's close to home here in Texas. He wants to make a big showing. He saw that he's given up his height. He saw that he's willing to walk in. So Castaneda, the experienced guy, decided, all right, what would give me an advantage? I'm a little older. Instead of standing there toe-to-toe with the guy, let me box. Let me see what he gives me. And he's been able to find some good offense that Diaz has given him by walking in.
Able to back Diaz up moments ago against the ropes.
There's different ways you can get offense. You can create it with your jab, and you can create it off defense. So far, Castaneda's creating it off defense. A little movement and being opportunistic. Looking for the right time to punch when Diaz walks in, like that.
He's targeted that right hand a few times already in this fight. He's got a good eye on Diaz's left hand, and that right hand has been able to sneak in. Comes forward and scores again.
Well, Diaz is just trying to storm the hills. Castaneda has been employing guerrilla warfare. Hitting and getting out. Hitting and disappearing. It's been working for him real well. Nice mix of defense and offense so far for the more experienced Castaneda. That's been a problem for Diaz so far. He's been on offense, forgetting about defense. And when he's been on defense, he hasn't come back with counters and mixed his offense together. Castaneda, the more experienced guy, knows how to do both at the same time. Turn them on and turn them off.
See if the young Oscar Diaz can find some answers. Friday Night Fights presented by Miller Lite from Corpus Christi, Texas. A good night to watch unbeaten prospects on our cards tonight. And here we are in round 3, where San Antonio's 15-0 Oscar Diaz is having a tough time early on with Rogelio Castaneda. In that second round, Teddy, Castaneda landed 36% of his punches thrown. Diaz was down to 16%.
Another possibly ominous sign here early on is that you always like to get in the fight early. I mean, you can fall behind, you can come back, but if you could, you obviously think it benefits you to start off, especially if you're a young fighter, with early rounds. But in this case, even more so for Diaz. He wanted to get a good start. He's behind, at least on our cards, a little behind the 8 ball. And he's in there with a guy that, if he has to come back from behind Diaz, the younger fighter, he's got to do it with Castaneda, who's been 10 rounds or better 5 times. And Diaz has never been past the 8th round. So that can really play a big role in this fight. He gets behind early. There was question marks about him going the distance, so you would have liked to have a lead where if he faltered a little bit, mentally or physically going down the stretch, he could survive it. Now he has to press down the stretch, and a stretch that he's never been in before, with a guy who's been down the stretch many times. A lot of things to overcome early on for Diaz.
Break, no punching, let's go, step back.
You can see from the beginning, Castaneda adapted to a counter-punching fight, and Diaz, he committed to just walking in.
That's the strategy he's been keeping up here in the 3rd round. In this 3rd round, it seems like Rogelio Castaneda has done a little more body work than we saw in the first 2 rounds, trying to dig in on the inside here. And there's a cut now over the right eye of Castaneda.
Well, we mentioned it right at the beginning. Both these fighters have been cut. Both come in with their heads. And Castaneda, nothing new to him. He has been cut before.
And you could hear referee Ruben Carrion declaring it an accidental headbutt here in round number 3. So we'll monitor that situation. Diaz scores with a body shot. We're using the Texas rules tonight. Accidental foul stops a fight. We go to the scorecards after 4 rounds are complete. A better finish to round number 3 for Oscar Diaz. Danny Milano, after the 3rd round, working on the cut over the right eye of Rogelio Castaneda. Using the Texas rules, accidental foul, if it stops this fight, we go to the scorecards after the 4th round is complete. So we're 3 minutes away from having an official fight here. Things look pretty good on that eye as of right now. We will see how it holds up here in this 4th round. Punches through round 3. 61-50 edge for Castaneda. Of that 270, most of that work thrown by Oscar Diaz came as he walked forward with that jab, but wasn't that effective with it in the first 3 rounds. Oscar Diaz says he is in the best shape that he has been in a year, and it's because of the motivation of this guy, Hall of Famer Lou Duva, who plays such an important role in the youngster Oscar Diaz. I want to congratulate Lou coming up on October 5th at halftime of the New York Giants-Miami Dolphins game at Giants Stadium. Lou Duva is going into the New Jersey Sports Hall of Fame. And guess who else will be joining him in the New Jersey Sports Hall of Fame in another month? Guy standing right next to me, Teddy Atlas. Congratulations to both of you.
Well, that hall's never going to be quite the same as
they better expand it.
Used to be a nice place.
What a crowd they're attracting now.
Congratulations to Lou. Well deserved.
All right, stop wrestling, all right? Stop it. Let's go.
Wide punch by Castaneda, and Diaz comes in with a right hand. That's something, and he backs him up with a straight right. And that's been one of the flaws of Rogelio Castaneda, has been his wide punches. And Diaz lands his best shot of the fight so far.
Castaneda was doing so well when he was laying back and countering, letting Diaz give up his height, letting Diaz walk in, and taking target practice on Diaz. Now Castaneda starts leading, falling in a little bit. All of a sudden, Diaz does his best scoring on a counter right uppercut earlier. And then Castaneda gets off balance, goes straight back, gets caught with a right hand by Diaz. Castaneda should stay to what's working for. Don't fix it if it's not broke. Stay to the counterpuncher. He's starting to lead. All of a sudden, things turn. And he's leading with a bigger man. He's better off. Size doesn't play as much when you're laying back and countering. You're keeping distance. You're not letting size and strength get involved in the equation. Diaz seems to be the bigger, stronger guy. Now with Castaneda coming into the kitchen, that size of Diaz starts to show, and that body punch is a good way of showing it.
So maybe a turning point here for Oscar Diaz in round number 4.
Sliding in on the right-hand corner there. You're going to see the big punch of the last round. Diaz landing the right hand as Castaneda cooperates. Anytime a punch is landed, it's for a reason. Castaneda went straight back.
Oscar Diaz doing a much better job in that 4th round of being efficient with his work. 21 of his 22 connects were power punches in that round. You see the punches in round 4. 22 of 67 for 33% for Diaz, and he has evened up the score on Teddy Atlas's card, 38-38 after a slow start.
You mentioned earlier, Joe, about Diaz being in great shape. This is his lightest weight. Tonight, 142 pounds in over 1 year. And I mentioned about Castaneda's better off staying outside. He had good success counterpunching. He's a smaller man. Proof of the smaller man. He turned pro at lightweight, has fought as low as junior lightweight, moved up to junior welterweight limit his last 10 fights. So really, Castaneda has really mostly been a junior welterweight against Diaz, who in his last 3 fights has campaigned at welterweight. He dropped down tonight. And Diaz is only
Oscar Diaz,
yeah, he's stronger.
A much stronger.
He is. Well, you can see it. He's been a welterweight his last 3 fights. And he's only 20 years old. He must have really worked to bring his weight down to 142. I don't even think he's going to be able to stay at junior welterweight, because at 20 years of age, he's still growing. So what does it all translate to? Castaneda should probably go to what he was doing well in the first 2 rounds. Stay outside. Even though he's a little shorter, do the counterpunching. Don't get in kind of fight in close that brings strength and weight into the play, because that's going to favor the younger, stronger Diaz, it would seem. Some loose tape on the right glove of Castaneda. That can get in the eye of a fighter. Once the referee sees it, he probably will take care of it. Again, Castaneda changing schemes a little bit, pressing more since the 2nd round, when he was doing a lot of good work counterpunching.
Castaneda served himself well, staying on the outside and timing Oscar Diaz. He landed a shot there. Diaz did more work on the inside in the previous 2 rounds and landed that big straight right hand in round number 4. A more even 5th round. Joe Tessitore and Teddy Atlas with you on Friday Night Fights from Corpus Christi, Texas. Oscar Diaz and Rogelio CASTANEDA. Diaz is the undefeated fighter, the 20-year-old from San Antonio, under the tutelage of Lou Duva. Punches in round 5, 14-11, more evenly fought round than the previous 2. Castaneda suffered that cut over the right eye in the 3rd round, but they've been able to maintain that pretty well so far.
You know, it's a funny thing. First 2 rounds seemed to be Castaneda because he was taking advantage of Diaz's reckless aggression. Diaz was giving up his height, just walking in. Castaneda was taking good advantage with counterpunching, scoring well. Now Castaneda looking to walk in spots. You would like to see Diaz, who's a little longer, a little bigger, take advantage of his height. And he's not. He's just going to walk. And I said earlier, I wouldn't be surprised if both these guys are cut in this fight.
Well,
and guess what?
Here's another one, Teddy.
They're both cut.
This now over the left eye of Oscar Diaz.
Let's go. Let's go. Bob.
And this looks to be much worse than the cut on Castaneda.
Yes, it does. And it is flowing into the eye, bothering his vision. And Castaneda's reacting to it. He's turning up the heat. He figures maybe Diaz will be bothered. He's young. Castaneda's much more experienced, fought the better opposition. He figures maybe Diaz will be bothered by this cut, even though he's been cut before. Maybe he'll be bothered by it. Maybe his vision will be impaired. So Castaneda's saying, you know what? That's all I need to know. Let me step it up a little. See if I can get an advantage here.
Right hand scores well for Rogelio. And Teddy, if this fight was to be stopped early and we did go to the scorecards, pretty close fight right now.
No doubt it is close. I have it very close. Again, Castaneda pressing the shorter man. Not doing as much counterpunching, although he still has the ability every once in a while to lay back and counter. He's been able to show different sides to him. He can press forward. He can also counter. So far, Diaz has only shown one side, Joe. And that's what's helped Castaneda. Diaz has shown one way. Come forward and throw punches. If Diaz could use his height a little bit, especially with Castaneda coming forward, Diaz could get a lot of opportunities to catch him coming in.
Good exchange body shot followed by a right hand. Seventh round, Rogelio Castaneda and Oscar Diaz picked up the pace at the end of that 6th round, Teddy Atlas, after the cut was opened up on the left eye of Diaz.
And this is what caused it. Castaneda coming in with his head, and at the last second, Diaz leaning forward to throw an uppercut, and bang, two fighters who, as we said right in the outset, have been known to come in with their heads and been known to get cut. You get cut for a reason. And the main reason, usually, is head clashes.
Tommy Brooks and Lou Duva in the corner for Oscar Diaz, imploring him to remember what he learned in camp. He said, you're staying in front too much. You need to get to the outside, step aside, stop standing around, and get your hands back. Castaneda's been taking advantages of some of those mistakes tonight.
It can be very misleading to a young fighter looking at his opponent, having lost 3 of his last 6, saying, oh, I'm undefeated, I'm going to have my way, but forgetting the kind of opposition that fighter, in this case Castaneda, has been in with. Diaz is being tested tonight. We talked about
the left hand there
to the body, Joe, and we talked about the size difference. We talked about Diaz's last 3 fights being a welterweight. He's only 20 years old. He's the biggest, stronger guy. Castaneda's really a full junior welterweight. No better way to take advantage of that strength, that size, than do what you just saw him do before. Go to the body, and there's a good right hand landed by Diaz, and then a nice left hook to the body. Again, Diaz, he's a fighter. He has that temperament, but you would like to see him understand his advantages and his height. And Castaneda, who's coming forward now more and more, you would love to see Diaz use that height a little more. He's given his height up a lot. You saw it right there. Watch the feet at home if you want to see why a taller fighter gives up his height. When they don't keep their feet at a certain distance and keep that stance when they punch, and they let their feet fall in, well, they're not taller anymore. They quickly become short and small. They fall into the other guy's punching distance. Once again, Diaz falling in. Some loose tape now on the left glove of Diaz.
Well, Teddy, this is a really good test for Oscar Diaz and a great learning experience. The only problem is he needs for it to also be a win at the end.
Nowadays you're doing, the old days you didn't. It didn't matter if you lost a fight. It really didn't. Nobody cared. As long as you could fight. You could fight next week or 2 weeks later. And you showed that you were in that class.
Sitting in the blue corner is Oscar Diaz, as Tommy Brooks and Lou Duva coming up with a stretch plan here.
That's all you got to do. You'll run into something.
Trying to work on that cut over the left eye. That was opened up by a clash of heads in the 6th round.
And start bring him up.
Off your jab and let everything go.
Eighth round, they are scheduled for 10. Oscar Diaz, the unbeaten prospect, wearing the Mexican and American flag on his trunks. Rogelio CASTANEDA, the veteran. He's had ups and downs in his career. He feels he is in great shape, trained well, and so far, at times, has had a good strategy to match the young prospect.
Right, no punch, clean break, let's go.
Maybe what's showing with the experience of Castaneda more than anything is he's in control of what he wants to do on a consistent basis. In other words, when he wants to press, he knows why he wants to press. There's a late hit there.
Go there, go. 1 point hit.
Now this is a big point in this kind of fight.
So a 1-point deduction here in the 8th round. Ruben Carrion addressing the situation right away. He could be critical on the scorecards.
I was just starting to say that Castaneda has shown experience. Consistently, he's pressed when he wants to press. He's mixed it up and counted in spots, mixed it up when he's wanted to counter, even though lately he's been pressing more. Diaz has not been consistent with what he wants to do. He's not sure if he should press or if he should lay back every once in a while and try to take advantage of his height. Experience makes you more sure of your identity, of what it is that you need to do in that squared circle. There are definitely times where Diaz could serve himself, like right now, counterpunching, when Castaneda, the shorter man, as you mentioned, sometimes goes back to reaching in with long punches.
Castaneda returns fire after that lead left hand from Diaz.
No punch, let's go, clean break.
More pressure right now on Castaneda to win this round, just to get an even round in a close fight. Because he lost a point this round. He does not want to have a 10-8 round at this juncture. See, there's some counterpunching by Diaz. He should do more of that. Castaneda, watch Castaneda. He's been pressing forward. He's been coming in. He's the shorter man. He's going to leave himself open before he gets into the punching distance of Diaz. Diaz has a chance to do some good work on the outside.
All right, 2 rounds to go here between Rogelio Castaneda and Oscar Diaz. And Teddy, Ruben Carrion, the referee, addressed this situation. He took a point deduction for a headbutt, but watch what happens there.
No headbutt, late punch, it looked like, late left hook by Diaz. And what happens? The referee winds up penalizing Castaneda for a headbutt that we never saw. And I doubt that Castaneda remembers. So a mistake, it looks like, as far as the pictures usually don't lie. Looks like a mistake, and maybe a big mistake. Maybe a mistake that turns this fight by the referee here. We will see.
Well, on Teddy's scorecard, he gave that 8th round to Castaneda, so it's only a 9-9 round for Rogelio, thus a 76-76 fight heading into the final 2 rounds.
But if you had given that last round to Diaz,
right, you got a 10-8 round.
Dramatic turn of events in a closely contested fight, and as we just saw in the replay, and that's the magic and the greatness of replay, being able to see it, an unfair turn of events from what we saw.
By the way, I want to give you an update as to the medical situation that we showed you at the beginning of our Friday night fights. A dramatic first-round knockout scored by Richard Odums, and Dominic Jenkins was lying on the canvas, and they were securing his neck when last we left, taking him off on a stretcher. He is being admitted into the local hospital here in Corpus Christi, and they are going to perform a CAT scan, and we will update you as to the situation with Dominic Jenkins.
Oh, our thoughts, obviously, us and our fans, all our people, and prayers are with the fighter. Castaneda winds up losing the fight. Set aside what happened with that point deduction. It looks like it was a bad call by the referee. He may have missed the boat by not counterpunching the way he was early in the fight. That was serving him real well. Now Castaneda turns southpaw, trying to find something else that will serve. Castaneda has nullified that advantage he had when Diaz was just walking in. He had a big advantage, Castaneda, when he was standing out and counterpunching. Now walking in, he's taken away a lot of that advantage. He's not making Diaz expose himself. He's allowing Diaz to do some work on the counter.
Tough fight for the unbeaten prospect, Oscar Diaz. So a very closely contested 10-round fight here between Rogelio CASTANEDA and Oscar Diaz. This is the final round. Diaz, just 3 days short of his 21st birthday, is looking for the best win of his career, but he has been thoroughly tested by Rogelio CASTANEDA. Saw the punches in round number 9 there. It was the 8th round that may cause great effect on the scorecards. That's when a point was deducted from Rogelio CASTANEDA. Both men have suffered cuts above their eyes due to accidental clash of heads. Castaneda controlled the pace early on. Diaz came on in the middle rounds, and it's been pretty even over the course of the past 4 rounds. On Teddy's scorecard, a slight edge for Diaz, 86-85.
Castaneda has been able to mix up some countering, some aggression. Down the stretch, he's been counting mostly on aggression. Diaz is in uncharted territory, Joe.
Never been past 8, Teddy.
And as we said early, right from the outset, Castaneda's been 10 rounds or better 5 times. He's familiar in this part of the fight. One big punch can turn this whole fight. We don't know how the judges have it, but there's a big punch right there. Slow jab by Diaz, and Castaneda throwing a looping right hand right over. That's why you don't throw slow jabs. You throw jabs like you're testing hot water.
Castaneda scores with the right hand. Tommy Brooks was telling his young prospect Oscar Diaz, get that left hand back. He didn't do it there.
His distance before is trying to take control in his last round. Castaneda. There's no doubt he can handle 10 rounds. There might be a little doubt in Diaz. And right now, Castaneda is pouring it on, trying to finish strong because he knows he can handle 10 rounds. And if Diaz is thinking about it just a little bit, he's paying for it. Because Castaneda knows what to do. Let those hands fly. There's no more time after this bell sounds. Good round so far by Castaneda.
Oh, I think he's had a really solid 3 minutes here to close this show. Strong right hand. He's been aggressive and he's been effective.
Diaz should look for the uppercut. Only a few seconds left, but Castaneda's leading in, coming in. If Diaz could look for that one uppercut, bang. He could finish with a big splash, but
well,
won't be.
Oscar Diaz is the local favorite. He's unbeaten, and he felt great coming in. Will he still feel that way in moments? We will find out. Good fight between the unbeaten prospect Oscar Diaz and Rogelio CASTANEDA. 183 to 174. Slight CompuBox edge for Rogelio CASTANEDA. Teddy Atlas's scorecard, strong final round, we both felt for Castaneda, but it ends up a 95-95 draw on your scorecard because of the 1-point deduction, Teddy.
And that could easily have gone another way, depending on how the judges saw that pivotal round in the 8th round.
Let's head up to the ring to Mike Hart.
Ladies and gentlemen, for the decision, we go to the scorecards. Judge Roy Ovalle scores at 97-93 for Diaz. Judge Jesse Benavides scores at 95-94 for Castaneda. And Judge Lee Rogers sees it 96-93 for the winner by split decision, Oscar Diaz.
Okay, so even if the point was given to Rogelio there, that would have still been 96-94 Diaz. The split decision winner, Oscar Diaz, a very unpopular choice here among these educated Texas fight fans. He goes to 16-0. So Oscar Diaz stays unbeaten. The question is, who will get out of our main event the same way? Jeff Resto rising towards a ranking. Carlos Mausa is looking to make his mark. We will have our main event in a bit. Now another visit with Brian and Max.